plans to launch last week?
I say there shortly. Me, I'd be looking to sell.
At what price?
More. Much, much more.
I don't know who you are or how you know these things, but one thing I'm sure of, you're in the wrong job. Here, call me tomorrow at 9 o'clock in the morning. I'd like to hear more from you.
Are you ready for your big break? The East African, understanding the region.
You're watching Morning NTV.
Welcome to the show that starts your beautiful day. Every morning, a crew of about 4 gentlemen get ready to give you, well, from your cold beddings to a very warm day. And here at the NTV studios at the International Conference Center, my name is Brian Mlondo. At the rooftop, and of course, later, Isma with the sport is Joel, Simon, and the whole gang. This is Morning at NTV, the hottest ticket in the morning. As usual, the question of the day. This question reminds me of SST in primary school. I think they call it civics now. Just go to our Facebook page, Morning at NTV, and help us answer that simple question. And of course, Twitter at Morning at NTV. You can tag me at MBGold2, at Ksiati, at Joel Senyonyi, at NTV Uganda. And good luck to all of you who will respond. Ultimately, only 5, the first 5 respondents, walk out with something for Morning at NTV. So go there and you can be a winner. Guess what? Here at NTV, we're celebrating 8 years of quality broadcasting, and in the build up to the celebrations, we have decided to give back to you. 100 motorbikes in 100 days. And of course, there's a code on the top right hand corner. It will be flashing on very soon. You can go there and send that code to 6666. Some of you are sending it to 6565. No. This time it's 66666. It's quadruple 6. And send it, and at 6 p.m. Robin will be here to give you those goodies, and of course we'll be having some gift hampers to take away at the end of the day. So good luck to all of you. Have you downloaded NTV Mobi? Well, that's our new app. On your smart Android phone, you go to Google Play Store, download NTV Mobi, and you can watch us wherever you are as we celebrate 8 years. Well, this morning, in a couple of seconds, I'll be looking at the stories that are shaping headlines. Good morning.
Watching at NTV with KB Root Brian.
Well, once again, a very good morning to you, wherever you're joining us, whether on your NTV Mobi or on your television, in your office, at home, in a taxi. Thank you so much for staying with us. Now, on to the stories that are making headlines this morning. At least 27 people are dead and 21 others injured after a bus belonging to Bakulu Bus Company on its way to Kampala collided with a Juba-bound trailer. The accident occurred at 7 a.m. yesterday in Nisitu, Jonglei State in South Sudan. The driver of the trailer was allegedly keeping left as opposed to the keep right rule that is applied in South Sudan. Aswa Region Police publicist Jimmy Okema says the number of the dead could have risen as some of those injured are in a critical condition. They have been rushed to Juba Hospital.
what happened was, they said at 7 a.m. this morning, a Bakulu bus registration number AS 073P, which was traveling from Juba coming to Uganda, collided with a trailer registration number UAB 300E, which was from Uganda going to Juba, going to 27 people who have died, and 21 people were injured seriously, and they were still expecting more to pass on because their condition was really not good. This accident happened in a place called Nisito, which is a few kilometers to Juba and is much farther from Nimule. The trailer driver was driving on the left-hand side, which is quite wrong, because in South Sudan they follow right, and in Uganda we follow.
Very sad story there. We ask you, of course, to be very careful while on the road and be able to contact any police officer if you need any help. Now, sacked Prime Minister Amama Mbabazi could be headed for yet another political fight as legislators from the NRM party meet to discuss the role of the NRM Secretary General. The meeting is to discuss the roadmap to the 2016 polls, which will see ruling party MPs assess a report which faults Mbabazi, who is the party Secretary General, on the disputes that erupted after the party primaries. We have a report.
MPs from the ruling NRM party headed to State House in Tebe for a caucus in the aftermath of a stern warning from party chairman, President Yoweri Museveni, to detractors.
Movement
Top on the agenda is the debate on the report of the NRM 2010 primaries that plunged sections of the factions and led to the mushrooming of independents, who in turn trounced ruling party candidates in the polls.
Every village was a polling station, and therefore it was a big task, and anybody was bound to fail.
Key to some of the lawmakers is the recommendation by the report for a fresh party register and to mobilize new supporters.
Because there was a mismanagement, even in multi-party elections. Just writing a name on a paper was not worthwhile.
Party should arrange to have a fresh register, since we cannot access the one which is keeping in his house.
Recently, sacked Prime Minister and MP for Kinkiza West Amama Mbabazi could still find himself steeped further in the fight for life as party members discuss the position of Party Secretary General. The report for the debate recommends that the Party Secretary General should not hold an elective position.
If he wants to build NRM as a party, and if he cherishes NRM like he tells us every day that he has helped to build NRM.
To choose between being a Secretary General or Prime Minister, but he didn't. But now he has been dropped as Prime Minister. He remains the Secretary General. And there are many issues which he must respond to, which are in the report.
If the report is adopted as recommended, Mbabazi could find himself thrown out of the coveted Central Executive Committee of the party. More research on NTV at Parliament.
Now, still on the Mbabazi story, following his sacking last week, the former Prime Minister, as his position as the NRM Secretary General has come under scrutiny, with some thinking that it is most likely that Mbabazi will be forced out before his term expires next year. But NRM Deputy Spokesman Ofono says he can only be removed when credible complaints are forwarded to the highest decision-making organ, the Central Executive Committee. But some political watchers believe that Mbabazi's downfall from the party ranks may be precipitated if past unresolved controversies involving him are reignited. Moses Akena with the story of Mbabazi's fate in the ruling party.
President Yoweri Museveni first appointed immediate former Prime Minister Amama Mbabazi to cabinet in 1992 as state defense. At one point, Mbabazi, who was ejected from cabinet only 2 weeks ago, was referred to as super minister due to the several portfolios he held at the same time. It took Mbabazi 19 years to ascend to the fourth most powerful position in government, to cement his position as President Museveni's right-hand man. That is probably why his sacking took many by surprise, and it's perhaps why some people now think his position as Secretary General is also untenable.
his power, I think, is going to be largely diminished, but he has those who believe in him. He has a network, he has business associates, he has political supporters, and we see that they are not relenting.
Shortly after he was sacked, Mbabazi pledged to concentrate on his work as NRM Secretary General. Critics said the NRM party is fused with the state. Now, some of Mbabazi's senior NRM colleagues, like Vice Chairman for the East, Captain Mike Mokola, thinks he should quit or be removed from the party's Central Executive Committee, since he has fundamentally disagreed with the chairman, President Museveni.
Not see in the short run Honorable Amama Mbabazi pleading with the president, but I see him not going into confrontation, at least in the short run.
Deputy NRM spokesman Ofono Pondo says Mbabazi cannot be removed unless someone files a credible complaint against him in the party's top policy organ, CEC.
And the state then can make recommendation to the National Conference. That is the only organ that can remove the Secretary General, because that is the organ that elects the Secretary General, not any other organ.
For now, Opondo says no such complaint has been filed.
There is no case against him as Secretary General. The President has sacked him as Prime Minister.
Mbabazi's term as Secretary next year, of the Delegates Conference. But Dr. Karyaija, a public policy donor at Uganda Management Institute, thinks Mbabazi's controversial past may now come back to haunt him.
And we believe his innocence, but we know that the state is inherently criminal. It can turn against you.
As all this plays out in the media, a silent but visible pro-Mbabazi campaign manifests on the streets in the form of posters and t-shirts. This poster of Mbabazi is hidden here at the corner, and most people who are walking by may not know.
We cannot.
The youth are also asking President Museveni to step down ahead of the 2015 NRM National Conference or Delegates Assembly.
And if he does not retire by 2015, he's going to divide the party. He should not divide the party.
But Deputy NRM spokesperson Ofono Pondo, who is also the government person, says the youth are NRM imposters.
Why would they think that whoever places or uses money must be using public money? They themselves, they are calling themselves the poor youth. Where did they get the money to go to Makerere guest house?
Ofono Opondo also the claims made by the youth, describing them as information peddlers with a hidden agenda.
I don't think NRM will give them any attention, no government will give them any attention at all.
Speculation continues on why President Museveni sacked Amama Mbabazi, his confidant, for over 40 years. Debate also rages on whether the NRM Secretary General will challenge his boss for the presidency during the NRM Delegates Conference next year. Suhail Mugawi, NTV.
Well, still with Mbabazi's story, the Anti-Corruption Coalition says that the newly appointed Prime Minister, Dr. Ruhakane Rugunda, should sell the 600 million shilling official vehicle, bought with money meant to support...
Take responsibility. The monies that were used to buy that car were PRDP funds. So you say, no, I can't use that car. Just as a matter of being responsible leader and taking a stand.
So when donors put money into the Anti-Corruption Coalition, I mean, let's assume the European Union or these donors have given money to the Anti-Corruption Coalition to fight corruption. So, Sisi Kagaba picks money off her salary to buy her official car.
Well,
Sisi Kagaba gets money from her inheritance to buy furniture for her office. Or the same money that's given to her to buy to fight corruption, also part of it is used to buy means of mobility, means of office, whatever, and other perks that come along. I mean, all the money we put into the World Food Program, does it go to buy maize meal and beans?
Well, it depends on what their budget is like. I'm sure they have a budget for salaries, for transportation, I don't know, accommodation, hotels, whenever they travel and so on. But you see, many times when we try to relate the NGO world to government, I think we are being tangential to the real issue here. NGO money, even though I think it should be very well utilized, but you see, for me as a Ugandan, I'm more concerned about my tax money as opposed to money for Anti-Corruption Coalition and the likes from European Union. The Europeans should be concerned about their money. For me, I'm concerned about my money, government money, which, you know, should
There's a story here that indeed the NTV did cover extensively in our previous bulletins. NRM Poor Youth Group backing Mbabazi and warning President Museveni. And we also told that members of parliament are doing little on human rights. At least this is according to a report that is titled, "Is the Ninth Parliament delivering to citizens Is the Ninth Parliament delivering to citizens their expectations?"
You should have attended that debate. Were you there? Why didn't you attend that debate? You of all people should have been there.
But my views on, I mean, clearly my answer would be no.
The more reason you should have been there.
No, and they know it. This is just a facade. They know it. Why should I go there to even lend credence to the fact that this parliament is up to any good? But clearly that's the parliament that we have. Like they say, people get the kind of leaders that they deserve.
There you have it. Be clear on school meals. Leaders tell government. Of course, there's been this ping pong. Government telling parents, make sure the meals are available to these children. Parents saying, well, if you're paying school fees, you also pay for the meals. A very interesting one.
Well, there we have it. Parents trying at the very best to negate their responsibility. I mean, well, you go aside the children and expect we, the taxpayers, to pay meals for your own children. Give us a break. Well, talking about meals, I'm seeing here the picture of the day in the Daily Monitor is quite a very interesting picture. This is a man who is eating or attempting to eat a mound of millet bread, kalo, and a whole lusania, or should I say platter, of boiled white rice, and 2 plates of beans and a bottle of mineral water.
I see kalo at the extreme end as well. This man here who is ingesting copious amounts of food reminds me of a friend of mine called Brian Mulondo before he began working on TV. But you see, it's interesting how, you know, as you keep...
This Brian Mulondo, we know, or, you know, some of people have very common names that they are. There is about...
I know Joel Senyonyi. Have you met a Joel Senyonyi out there?
20 Joel Senyonyi in jail.
I see a number of Kasiates.
Yeah, I'm sure you know where you see them on the roads with personalized number plates. But then which Brian, guy in jail or the guy in the studio?
My lawyer is advising me to keep quiet.
Well, the red paper this morning is screaming with a headline that Mbabazi is in more trouble. Yes, and the kickers are that the police chief, General Kaihura, is speaking out on ex-premier's fate. He rushes to German to block the 78 billion Amama cash. Does the president need to run to German to block cash, or these things cannot be done by remote control, or he's got some people that he can send? Does he really have to go there himself? Well, and we also told that Amama fans plot huge city rally.
I'll tell you, you can see it glaring all over the place that His Excellency the President, or at least his camp, is in panic mode. And Nicholas Sengoba writes here in the opinion, says Mbabazi is beaten, but Museveni is feeling the pain. I think I agree. And, you know, this goes to show for, you see, the organized welcome, you know, of the president from New York. For goodness sake, the president always does these routine visits to New York and wherever, and then comes back and, you know. But you see, they're trying to show that, look, we are powerful. That means they see the power in this man. And wait to see. And quote of the day, this is President Museveni to NRM members. Movement got its power because of blood. It's not a party you just play around with. And those who want to play, let them go elsewhere.
Well, the red paper is going on and on about this Mbabazi issue, and indeed telling us that the NRM is plotting their final nail on Amama Mbabazi. What is this nail? Get yourself a copy of the red paper and get to read the details of what's cooking in the NRM quarters with regard to purging Honorable Amama Mbabazi completely out of the party.
This is the letter written by a senior vet inspector in the Ministry of Agriculture, Animal Industries and Fisheries. It says you can still get a public service job without bribing.
Well, more about the Inspector General of Police here in the red paper. He seems to decry the presence of drunks among his rank and file. So clearly there is a call on many of you to look out for drunken police officers, those who are acting unprofessionally, who, according to the Police Inspector General, are killing the force. And many a times, you know, be certainly in a very compromising positions with regard to their conduct. However, let us also not take this as a way of clearing out some vengeance. We must be able to back up our allegations with very empirical.
Without a doubt. And you see, we've been calling on people to, I don't know, report some cases. Either is it of traffic officers on the road that do things the wrong way, or bad drivers. The other day, I actually had to follow up somebody, a parliament car. I even remember the number plate, UG0176H. fellow was driving like a drunkard, you know, for some reason, overtaking nearly hit
like
people.
Or he actually is a drunkard?
I imagine so, but you see, he was actually taking something. I imagine it was tea, you know, in these flask mugs. And I called Parliament. I said, you either deal with this man or you deal with him. They promised me they will. I want to follow up.
Oh, that's very interesting. Who did you call at Parliament? Did you call just
one of the
line?
officials there. So I'll keep following up with that particular official.
Wow. So here we have it. Very many interesting stories in here in, of course, the red pepper. We're seeing an story here of presidential guard subduing several persons who tried to get up close and personal with President Yoweri Museveni during this homecoming triumphant entry, more like it was for the Lord when he entered Jerusalem on the back of an ass. So clearly, here we see there's some lady, I think, who wanted to...
Actually about 2 people.
Yes, but there's one particular lady here who the photographers did have a field day on, and clearly, yes, there is welcoming the president in the glitz and glamour, but I think people must understand very close to the president is certainly no mean feat. If you doubt, you need to ask this lady who's photographed in the in the red paper. And
I'm sure she had a piece of paper, you know, with her list of requirements. You know, that is probably why she was running to the president. I don't know, rent, school fees. We have gotten to that level that for our lives to get better, we need to run to the president. So maybe you don't blame them.
While I was away, you know, marooned in Jinja, enjoying matters to do with hydro electricity generation, there was a story that was playing out in the newspapers everywhere about a member of parliament whose wife allegedly went missing, and I haven't gotten my mind around it yet. But I see a story here in the red paper, in the gossip section, just saying it for the sake of it because I do not know the facts behind this, because the last time I checked, this member of was or is supposed to be a widower, but now I did not even realize he had since married so dead, but even looks like this wife was even present before the other one could pass on, because the other one was separated from him. I just don't understand the circus around this member of parliament and his private life, and I want to stay away from discussing his private life, in as much as I also know that someone's private life certainly has a way it impacts their public life, and clearly it was bloody in his private life as he claims it was in the political realms. So we are told that his wife carried...
Well, they did a cultural function, the traditional kuhinjira or that kind of thing.
While she claimed to, where there were reports that she had gone missing, she was actually somewhere ensconced in a lover's chest, according to the red paper this morning. And this is a young lady I think I have seen in media circles.
I've worked with her.
Whose parents are actually members of parliament.
No, the mother is actually a member of parliament. The father is a businessman. Now, this is interesting. I kept wondering, how do these guys do it in parliament? When they meet, does this guy bow for his mother-in-law? But you see, somebody once said that your character can... your skills can take you to a place where your character cannot sustain you. So I think we need to build our character. More important than being very, I don't know, skilled and talented. It is a good thing, you see, but your talents can take you somewhere where you can come down real soon because of bad character. So,
well, as we conclude this, let's look at the usual pull-outs that are always great newspapers in the next magazine this morning. What it means to be a skinny child. Here we have it, and of course for the children, talking about children, we have the Rainbow magazine that is in the Daily Monitor this morning. Tell mommy or daddy or uncle, wherever it is, to get your copy of the Daily Monitor today so that you can get to find out what other kids are faring on, especially as they're getting ready for PLE that is not so far away from today.
Allow me to read this. They did ask a number of young people here, what do you think the change of the Prime Minister? There's a young girl here who says, I think it was fair because Mr. Mbabazi was trying to overthrow the government, and at the same time he used to speak ill about the president, which was not right because the president was his.
And it even gets better. We have a grand prize of 100 motorbikes to give out in 100 days. NTV, we are definitely turning on your world.
Glitz and glamour, flamboyant.
And you're watching. transact every day, and for centuries, currencies have changed hands. Business is a must, and that is why Money Matters makes it a must to talk business.
It's the biggest market out in Uganda because of East African connections and business.
From farming to business trading, we give you all the angles.
When you're harvesting, that one is the most important part, which really have to be there.
We'll bring you all the details that doing business has to offer.
Thoughts of the business leaders in the market.
The airline industry doesn't operate like any other industry, where you go in and buy a shirt and this shirt is 20 shillings today and will be 20 shillings tomorrow, 20 shillings.
The analysis of the costs and the income in the industries.
From wherever we are,
we talk business, and at Money Matters,
where money indeed matters.
Business is a must.
So, don't miss talking business with us every Thursday only on NTV.
Welcome to Jazz with Isaiah, a musical venture that is entertaining,
I'm a prisoner, you're a prisoner too.
educative,
It is not about just standing on stage.
informative,
Jazz is a type of music from the African American background.
and inspiring.
I have a goal of like breaking it down.
Watching Morning at NTV. Mabel K. and Brian.
A very good morning and welcome to this edition of Morning at NTV's Big Story on the 30th day of September 2014. Simon Kasiat is my name. Every single day of the 365 days of the year, the world certainly is commemorating something. One time it's International Labor Day, another day it's International Bald-Headed Men's Day, another day it's Mother's Day. Yes, tomorrow, the 1st of October, you don't want to guess what we'll be celebrating or commemorating as the world. Well, no prizes for guessing. We'll be commemorating the International Day of the Elderly. Yes, Uganda is joining the rest of the world to commemorate this day, a day that was gazetted by the United Nations General Assembly under Resolution 45/106 on the 14th day of December 1990. In a country where the life expectancy doesn't go perhaps beyond 50 years, one wants to beg the question, do we really have the aging to celebrate this day in substantial numbers? Even if we do, how are these people existing and how are they living? This morning on The Big Story, we're looking at the old people. Many of you watching us have got your kith and kin out there that are, you have grandparents, you possibly even have parents that are of advanced age. What kind of existence are they living? Are they living off your palm? Are they living off the state? Should they be living off their sweat? Should they be living off the state? Should they be living off your palms? That and a lot more on The Big Story shortly. And of course, this morning to discuss these issues of National Day of Old Persons, I have not, and I did not invite the old man of the clan every days, but I've got old man in every sense of the word. Looks it, sounds it, and of course, as always, intelligent with words of wisdom. Joseph Kabangwe, a retired civil servant. The last ministry that I meant to understand was the Ministry of Transport and Communication. It has since changed names. Clearly, it has been a long time since you last worked there.
Well, it has changed.
Good morning and welcome to the show.
Yeah.
How are you enjoying this retirement that you have had for a couple of years, and how does it feel like to be an old man in a society that is for the most part filled up by young people?
Well, I'm enjoying it. I have no problem with it.
problem? Joseph, people your age are grappling with having nobody take care of them. They are grappling with the fact that possibly their children, grandchildren to look after because of certain calamities and circumstances. Many people your age failing to access basic medical services. Many people your age can hardly put on their plate. How lucky are you that you, Joseph, have no problem whatsoever? Ain't you a lucky man?
Well, actually, I consider myself a lucky person.
You certainly have.
I've been lucky in life. I was born in a peasantry family, but I managed to get very high education. I managed to work in the public service up to almost the top job. Although actually I once acted head of civil service.
Oh, tremendous. You couldn't have found a better guest this morning.
But people have got different different opportunities in life.
Absolutely.
I happen to have one of the lucky ones. But the majority of us, the older persons, are living in very deplorable conditions.
But Joseph, let's now, before we go down to the desperate conditions some of your counterparts are living in, are you saying that you attribute this to luck? Or there must have been a lot of hard work, there must have been a lot of caution, a lot of taking good care of yourself, that you enjoy this old age where many of your contemporaries have not lived long enough to this day to share their life story?
Well, it is
perhaps
not,
that's a message that many people watching you of a young age to emulate.
It is not all luck.
Certainly.
But to a certain extent, yes. There is luck that I was born in a very devoted Christian family.
Perhaps not even born in a hospital, but somehow you managed to see.
I was born in a village.
By the fireplace or in a garden?
I was
possibly can't remember.
It was in a banana plantation.
Couldn't have been anywhere else.
I happened to be from Fort Portal. And in Fort Portal there are many banana plantations. So I was born in a banana plantation. Fortunately, I survived. And I understand my mother's labor was very bad, but I survived. Then I was educated up to, I started my education around the age of 5 years.
That was quite very early for you.
Yes, that's when I was to study religion. I
Church school?
Well, I went to the catechist. So I was educated. And until later on, after P4, later on, I went to Kitabi Seminary. I went to Katigondo Seminary.
Am I speaking to a priest?
And as you can see, that was a background of discipline.
Without a doubt. Let's get down to the current situation of old persons. In Uganda today, of course, we've got a ministry that takes very good care of people like the Ministry of Gender, Labor and Social Development, which has youth and old persons in there. But we also know that government, for I think about in 15 districts of the country, out of the 100 districts, there is a pilot project to provide old people like yourself some stipend to live on, some 25,000 Ugandan shillings per month. We also know that old people like yourself do not get preferential treatment unless someone is actually just kind or well-groomed. That if you're going to enter, say, public means, you're given first priority. If you're going to get amenities like medical care, you're given first priority. Many times you've got to follow the queue like the rest of all of us. Doesn't that bother you, that there is no clear affirmative action for old persons, few as you may be?
Well, it would have bothered me if I was not aware of what was going on.
It's quite interesting.
Because the government, with the means at its disposal, is trying to do its level best. Well, it bothers me. But you know what the finance specialists call the envelope.
Yes, the resource envelope.
The resource envelope.
Yes.
is very little.
It's constrained.
And the Uganda population is increasing at a very high rate.
And so are you saying you old people must be neglected simply because
no,
there's a
we are
big
not being
population
neglected. We are
of
not
young
being
people?
neglected. There is a lot of what is going on. But as you know, as you have just said, the resources, it has been allocated accordingly.
This year, we have a celebration to mark this International Day of the Elderly Persons. It will be celebrated in the West Nile district of Yumbe. And we were told that the theme for this year's celebration is Leave No One Behind, promoting a Uganda society for all. For the most part, there seems to be amenities and there seems to be infrastructure geared at making life easy for myself and my peers, not so much for you. Do you feel that this theme is very timely, that some of you, the elderly people, have been going through circumstances that do not necessarily propagate your well-being? And I'm speaking from a broad term and using a wide paintbrush to paint the situation.
Well, I happen to know that place, Yumbe, you are talking about, Yumbe district. As I told you, I worked in West Nile as assistant district commissioner.
It's quite a big area to
in the past. I know that area. That area is one of the backward areas of West Nile, I should say, because it is a remote area from Arua. So they did not have much education, the economy. So as a result, things are not. But as much is being done to ensure that, you know, I mean, in terms of the economy, for instance, government is doing its best to try to bring up the economy, agriculture being one of them. For the time to come, we shall depend on what individuals can plan and do for themselves.
But you see, plan and do for themselves. Kapango here, in advanced age, you told me you were 78, exactly the same age as my grandmother, who's married to an 88-year-old man. This couple is simply unable even to pick a little weed in their compound because of back problems, leg problems, hypertension. But things are bedeviled them all throughout. They are unable to do even the very small little basics around them. These are people possibly, unlike for my grandparents who are possibly lucky to have great-grandparents as well who are able to work and fend for them, there are those who possibly do not even have anyone to fend for them, and all they have in their compound is a littered mosaic of graves where their future is lying in ruin. Their children who should have been fending for them are long dead. For example, this senior citizens grant of 25,000 Ugandan shillings per month in only 15 districts of this country is affirmative action enough, never mind the fact we at this point in time be clamoring for more as opposed to saying, oh, thank you government for doing what you can in the circumstances? Or are you too old to agitate?
We are agitating. I am a member of the Uganda Reach the Aged Association.
Say that again?
Uganda Reach the Aged Association.
Reach as in R-I-C-H
or
R-E-A-C-H?
R-E-A-C-H.
Ah, but even then, I'm sure you will also be among the rich aged people.
No, I'm not one of the rich. But what I'm told you earlier, we have, some of us appreciate the problems. One of the problems which our society had was the problems of the 1970s when we had a coup. And the coup makers damaged the economy. And the people who are old now, my age mates, they became adults at that time. At that time when there was hardly anything, when we did not have essential commodities, when the economy, when the inflation was at its highest. Now, those are the old people of today. And I am one of them. And I am one of them. Because my salary at that time could not take me more than 4 days in a month.
So the rest of the 26 days,
we were
digging holes to cover them with other.
You can imagine what was happening.
But to be very honest, I'm very sure there are people watching us now whose salary cannot take them more than the day after payday. And not that they earn little, but there is so much to take the money. So the situation has
that
been
is
so
true. But you see, the individual has down, look at his situation and plan.
We're looking at the beneficiaries of this old senior citizens
We're
grant.
talking about the 25,000 shillings.
Being about 105 old
this,
people benefit.
this money is very little, especially if you look at it from us who live in the city, in Kampala. But you think of a person who was before that receiving zero, who did not have a thing. But now he has 25,000 shillings every month in a rural setting. It's not much.
But it certainly is a huge difference.
But and that is only for 15 districts. In the other districts, people are just on their own. So it's not much. But
so in your organization, are you agitating? If you are, what are some of the modes of agitation using that government possibly feels that you are forced to reckon with?
Well, our agitation has also got to be realistic. You see, but we are not policy makers.
You are fathers or mothers of policy makers.
We can only
you are
make
grandfathers
noise.
of people in government.
Yes.
You are grandfathers of who are in positions to make these decisions. Why don't these sons and daughters of yours, grandchildren of yours, make these decisions for the good of you, knowing that, in fact, and I'm not throwing sound colors, you don't have a lot of time to go.
But you see, when in economics there is what is called opportunity cost. If you increase the amount of money for older persons, somebody is going to lose out.
Maybe you'll give us incentive to live responsibly so that you can reach your age and benefit from these packs. How about that?
Well, the incentives are there because we are advising Ugandans.
Because for many people, they say, why should I live responsibly, grow old and be like Mzee Kabangu and start living off 25,000 shillings? I would rather enjoy my 10 million that I'm earning today, blast away my life, and die a rich, happy young man.
You might not die.
Oh dear.
You might waste yourself.
Still remain.
Live alone, you remain alive, and live a very miserable life.
Mubita indeed, as they say. Indeed, and starting it from there as we close this edition of Morning at NTV's Big Story.
Yes.
Look young people in the face this morning. That they ought to live responsibly, at least to get your age. But the question is, how do they do it? How did you do it?
The type of old age you are going to have depends on the lifestyle that you adopt right now.
Do you smoke?
I don't.
Did you ever smoke?
I never.
Did you ever drink?
Yes.
Do you still drink?
I still drink a little because.
What do you drink? Maybe that is his.
Well, I don't. Unfortunately, doctors advised me not to take certain drinks. Okay. So the only drink I can take is a bell.
A bell, lad.
Because it is the lightest. It is the mildest of the bell. Yes.
Tried out Castlelight perhaps. And anyway, so do you go dancing once in a while? Do you go jogging?
No, no, I don't go dancing because I would feel out of place there. Because I would not find my associates there.
Oh, you never know. Try, especially if you tint your hair.
Yes.
And you do some exercise?
I do a lot of exercise. I do a lot of walking, and I do a lot of. I go to the village and do some supervision of some farming. So I manage to keep myself like that.
What makes the dinner plate?
What?
What makes it the dinner plate for you? What do you eat?
Well, currently I eat mostly what every other person eats.
Pork?
No,
meat?
I don't eat pork, but I eat other meat.
So you are not entirely vegetarian?
No, I'm not entirely vegetarian.
You possibly.
But I enjoy greens.
You enjoy greens.
Yes.
And your sight is in perfect order, at least perhaps better than mine, from the way I look at you.
Well, it is only that I've not replaced my glasses, which broke the other day. Yes.
But I'm glad at least you're able to see. As we conclude this program, of course, there are many old people out there, or people aspiring to be very old, but they do not know what the future holds. how can one be meaningfully aged, gainfully aged, aged a very, very dignified manner? Because for the most part, many of you grow old only to become beggars. Many of you grow old only to become a burden to those who are younger, who should be looking after you. But then there are those who grow old in dignity, who grow old and remain with their head firmly on their shoulders. How can this be attained?
I think what they have to do is to plan and implement their plans carefully, exercise level of discipline,
and possibly find the right spouses.
Enjoy themselves in moderation, and keep healthy.
Mzee Joseph Kawangwe, retired civil servant. We've never have had a better person discuss matters of old people, especially as we are less than 24 hours from the International Day of the Elderly. Thank you so much for joining us on The Big Story this morning. And like they already say, we wish you many more years, and we hope, especially for myself, I hope to catch up with you sometime in the future.
Thank you very
much.
much.
Good morning.
Good.
Let's be back with Simon Says after this short break. You've heard it said several times that old is gold. Well, for many of you, old may mean silver, especially looking at the color of one's hair. Old could also mean gold in terms of what's in your heart. But old could also mean total desolation. Old could mean living in destitution. Old could mean being a burden to those that are younger and are faced with the burden of looking after one person in their old age. Thing is, how aged do you want to be? How old do you want your old age to be? In what state do you want to be when you're old and gray? As we celebrate International Day of the Elderly Persons, there is some affirmative action from the state. But in a country like ours, where the social security of old people is largely about the children that you have sired, clearly not much is expected of the state, given also its constrained resource envelope. We are told that the old person's grant is some 25,000 Ugandan shillings. And this doesn't go to all the aged people in the country. It is still being piloted in 15 districts in the country. Of course, let's not forget that we have over 100 districts. Will you be so lucky to be among the 15? Or will you be lucky to be among those districts that will be breaking away and joining into this pack of 25,000 Ugandan shillings per month? But even that way, 25,000 Ugandan shillings a month. Mzee Joseph Kabango says he drinks at least a beer a day, which is a beer lager. The cost of a beer is about 3,000 Ugandan shillings. Clearly 25,000 Ugandan shillings, even if you're buying a beer a day, will certainly not sustain you for more than a month. Clearly there's a lot that needs to be done to ensure that the plight and the well-being of old people is looked at more. Watching us this morning, maybe it's time you look very critically at this issue of old persons. After all, if you look after yourself very well, that is where you're going. Why don't you lay your bed so that in future you can lay in it comfortably and relax in it? We're all headed there. It is one place that we cannot avoid if especially we live responsibly. So let's plan for our old people, because in so doing, you'll invariably have planned for yourself. Have a tremendous morning and start the week very right as we start a new month. Stay safe and wish and work towards growing old gracefully, meaningfully. Have a good day.
You're watching Morning at TV with Simon Kasiate, Mabel Unji, and Brian Molondo.
Win lots of prizes with our promotion. Drive with Rigo Paints. These include cars, border borders, bicycles, smartphones, and many others. To win, buy any of our Rigo Paints products from the nearest hardware shop to get a voucher to enter the grand draw scheduled for December 2014.
Rigo Paints. Paint it, love it.
We transact every day, and for centuries, currencies have changed hands. Business is a must, and that is why Money Matters makes it a must to talk business.
It's the biggest market out in Uganda because of East African connections and business.
From farming to business trading, we give you all the angles.
When you're harvesting, that one is the most important part, which you have to be there.
We'll bring you all the details that doing business has to offer.
Thoughts of the business leaders in the market.
The airline industry doesn't operate like any other industry, where you go in and buy a shirt and this shirt is 20 shillings today, it will be 20 shillings tomorrow, 20 shillings.
The analysis of the costs and the income in the industries.
From wherever we are,
we talk business, and at Money Matters, where money indeed matters.
Business is a must.
So, don't miss talking business with us every Thursday only on NTV.
Guess what show just won Best Entertainment Program?
Log in for the glitz and glamour of Kampala's most flamboyant people and events.
I'm here today for Coco Fingers video shoot.
Big up NTV, thanks for the support. Log in, ndiwa nole ronzi zeko kakasa.
You're Golfy and you're watching Login.
Don't touch that dial, you know what's saying. It's log in.
We could do this all night. We could do this all night.
Look at all the juices that are in there, and that is what I'm looking for. My goodness, look at that.
My name is Cox, aka Mr. Showbiz.
Today was when I'm in Uganda, I only listen to DJ Baby Love.
When you're dancing on the light, girl walk out, your body down no fly, your fingernail them no favor fly.
You have a problem with it?
No, I ain't got no problem.
You don't use my mic, man. This is exposed mic.
I go deal with you personally.
XFB, it's officially back. Yeah, I'm in this heaty with cats. It's what we do, baby. Put UG map. Now come my walk. Now come my walk. Come my walk. Now come my walk.
Teri Muganda yagala munne kututumuka abanyankole mweyagalidde mu Kampala abajja okulonda mwafunamu bibanja ku Uganda
I'm that dude, so they come and love it.
You're going to start paying for watching Exposed.
I wasn't born last night. I know these hoes ain't.
Under lock and key with the 24-hour security surveillance. The story of what happens inside has only been partially told. For the very first time, we take you inside Luzira prison. With our cameras rolling from the compound to the wards. This is the story inside Luzira prison.
You're watching Morning at NTV. Simon Cassiati, Mabel Unji, and Brian Mullen.
It's 12 after 8. Thank you so much for staying with us up to this time. My name is Brian Mlondo, and this morning at NTV. And of course, go to our Facebook Morning at NTV and share with us what you think about the show. And before the break, we had Mr. Kabango Joseph, who is a retired civil servant. And some of the things he about the government, with the means at its disposal, is trying to do its level best. The resource envelope, though, is very little, especially for the elderly. He was born in a village in a banana plantation. Fortunately, he survived when he was educated, and the majority of elderly persons in this country are living in a lot of deplorable conditions. Share with us what we can do about that situation, what government can do? Should we just build retirement homes like it is in the West? Does government have what it takes to take care of the old people? Of course, on Twitter, you can also go there and let us know. I'll just sample a couple of your comments. But that NTV Mob is our latest app. Go to your smartphone, Android phone, download it from your Google Play Store and install it on your phone. Some people have been asking me, how does this NTV Mob is? Man, you must have bundles. If Gonya eats your bundles, you're dead. Okay, you can't watch us. But of course, we are trying to work out affordable apps so that you can watch this show wherever you can. Akanda Nwaho Kenneth saying at morning at NTV, refusing to leave state others to also have a crack at the presidency is the problem with the president. All right. And many of you answering today's question of the day will be names very soon and letting the winners know so that they can come and pick their gifts. Now, someone said that if you don't let change you, it will change you by force whether you want it or not. And this morning we're going to look at how you can change without, well, ultimately changing the status quo. But most of you, why do you fear change? My guest has given me an example of a divorce. When a divorce is looming, why don't you just let it go? We'll be looking at that when we return. Whether you're looking forward to a change or just shying away from it, the bottom line is change is coming. There's a beautiful song that I love. Hold on, change is coming. And most of us shy away from that. But if you're not ready, you might become unaware. And joining us this morning is Christine Babazi. Morning.
Morning, Brian.
First of all, I hope I'm going to get my commission because lots of parents were calling for your numbers. So
okay, we'll see about that because you're a parent as well, so you might benefit in the future. There's what they call sowing a seed. There's reaping time.
Okay, that's a wise answer.
Yes.
Change is very hard.
Yeah.
To work with. You know, I've gone through a couple of times in my life where I'm like, no, let me just stick to the status quo. Let me be there. My time will come.
Yeah.
First of all, for us as individuals, shy away from just embracing change, because I imagine it must be a beautiful thing.
Simple answer. We humans normally dread because we want the easy way out, things that are pleasurable, and we want to avoid more of that tough, that tense situations. Unfortunately, many of us have also not, you know, it's always good to have an exemplary. Let's say your dad and a mom you grew up and you saw how strong they were, and when they were going through, they handled the situation. Not so many of us have had the privilege to go through. You don't have the, at least having a role model who encourages you through the hard time, you know, when the what's the way forward. And that's so many, especially with the young people, when they face change, the way out, that's trying to ease the pain and look for harmful ways, because you realize the people, they face any challenge, any tense situation, they run to drugs, alcohol, men, relationships, prostitution, and all that, which is actually harming them in the situation. Simply because we fear and we opt for the easy, pleasurable way out.
How unknown is good for you?
Is good for you. You see, the thing is that I believe I personally, that has worked for me and with other people, is being minded. Let's say, for example, many of us have grown up in homes where we've been raised, you're stupid, you'll never amount to anything, yeah? And then you reach a point where you realize that you're stupid, yeah? Because I personally, I'll give you an example. When I was growing up, I was told you amount to anything for so long that I believed it, yeah? Until I woke up one day, I'm actually not stupid. Because, you know, we've had this several times that hurting people always hurt others. So I sat down and I thought to myself, how do I change this? Because my morale was down, everything was going wrong simply because of what I believed all these years. You know what I did, I personally? I started saying every morning how I'm not stupid. I would go to do exercises and I would say, because you remember you've been told over 20 years, Brian, that you're stupid. To erase that from your mind is not going to take a day or two. It's going to take a repeat. And there are friends also who will come in. Probably you've had a misunderstanding, There are those negative statements that have been said to us. But the thing is, it doesn't matter what everybody around you has said about you. It matters what you believe about yourself. And that is what is the circumstances. Anything is happening, you tell yourself, you know what? I'm not so sure about the future, but all I know is I can handle. Is I can depend on my God for those who are Christians. All I know is that I can, I can. Don't focus on the negative. Focus on the negative of it. You know what happens? The fear develops. You're now scared of the future. You now start looking for the shortcuts all the way through. But again, I wish we would also learn through the fire, because the few times I've allowed to go through the fire and through the storm, I have learned things and my character has been built. Period. But because many people have tried to look for the way that the shortest way out, have always missed out on the opportunities that are in the suffering or the changes that may come their way. But negative. The change can also be positive.
Because I think that's a bigger question. How do I know that this change is positive? Some of us want to think. We are very calculative. We want to analyze.
Yeah.
Before I go in, I must be very careful. So are there signs that can show, well, this is good for you, so that I don't just go in with my head?
I wish we would learn how not to depend so much on our feelings, because at times our feelings can be so deceptive depending on what we are going through. Sometimes we are anxious, we are annoyed, or we are going through certain phases and we make wrong decisions just because of the way we feel. I wish we would learn instead how to use our brains, sit back and think. Sit back and allow the changes in your life, because change will come whether you want it or not. You see, the thing is that has helped so many people, and I personally, is I have learned how to, so many people, Brian, for example, I'll give you an example that so many people know so many people, even there's someone who knows a lot about you, Brian. But if you sit down and ask him or her, tell me about yourself, they don't know much about themselves. But they know
about others.
But it's just a handful of people that actually take off the time to self-evaluate themselves. Who am I? What are my weaknesses? What are my strengths? How can I overcome this? And how can I develop my strength? I tell people that habit, which I love so much, I call it self-dating. I take myself out to an extent. Nobody with me, Brian. I'm telling you the truth. I sit
and you
down,
spoil yourself.
I spoil myself.
Right.
I eat whatever I want to eat. I listen to whatever music I want. No phone. I don't even want any phone call. I don't want anybody around. What am I doing? I'm taking off time to love myself, to accept myself, to know myself, evaluate where have I gone right and where have I gone wrong. How could I do better and how could I improve a certain situation? You understand? But people do that. Now, the moment you know your strength, it will be very easy for you. Whatever situation is coming, you have the strength inside to go through it. Confident about yourself. Someone comes and, like, for example, Brian, we have a misunderstanding. You're like, you know what? You chick, you're fake, you're dumb, you're stupid. In my I'm intelligent, I'm beautiful, I'm all that. So I will defend myself immediately. I don't have to say it to you, but I will defend myself in my mind. Someone else, you know what they'll do? Oh my God, said I'm stupid.
How could Brian say that?
How could Brian say that? And the whole, like all their friends are going to know that actually like that. So taking off time to know who you are as a person, the times you've gone through, the family you've gone through, the experiences you've had over the years, build a character that sometimes you may not be so proud of. But then you know where you're going. You know the kind of person you want to be. Take a day at a time, a step at a time. To try to change the bring around the right people that will help you bring out that character that you want to be. Yeah.
Is that the same thing that works, for life-altering stuff? Like, we're talking about a divorce. What do you do? What do you tell a woman who is out there thinking, oh, my husband has been cheating, probably infected me with HIV, I need to leave him, or a man whose wife has been cheating, altering stuff?
And to be honest with you, whether you want it or not, if you're not changing, your environment is changing. Your child is changing, your husband is changing, your relatives are changing, you is changing. And even you're changing, it's just that you're not taking off the time to actually analyze yourself and even see the changes that are happening. And you do not take off the time to know who you are and accept yourself, love yourself. It's going to literally be impossible to give out the same things to others. For example, loving people, accepting people, living with people, forgiving people. Because what has happened is you've failed to forgive yourself as an individual. You're going to have some shortcomings along the way. You're going to make mistakes as a person and think of, I as Christian do that. Probably I was weak here. How can I avoid that mistake again? You get. But the thing is, if you do not try to help yourself when the changes come, even the people around accept them easily, because a child at 5 is going to behave differently, at 10 is going to behave differently, at 15 is going to behave differently. There are changes you're going to see in your child, but then how do you walk with your child with holding their hand through 5, 15, 20 and help them walk through those stages without harming them, without hurting yourself or hurting your child? How do you notice that, you know what, I think my husband is going through a phase, I need to give him a break, or I need to take him for counseling. Both we, like me and him, we need to see the pastor, and you walk through that stage with your partner, not running away from the problem, but sticking in and finding a solution to it. You may want to find a solution and the other person doesn't. That's a different scenario. But where you can help, that's even with a friendship. You can realize that today is so moody. All I can do is let me give her space. Let me give him the space. But studying the environment will start with inside you, because you can study yourself, understand yourself, then it the people around, changes that are happening around you, and accepting whatever comes your way. At times it may be painful, but have you learned from it and not repeat the same mistakes? Because so many of us, you know what we are doing? We are around the same tree, the same mountain, year in, year out. Same mistake all the time. You have a boyfriend this year, you break up another one, you break up another, and you've never sat down and thought to yourself, what's my problem? Why is it that I can't settle in one relationship?
You think other people are the problem.
Exactly. And now what you're doing is you're blaming everybody around you apart from yourself. I have this that even when it's a small problem, I always sit back and ask myself, where has the problem come from? How could I have contributed to this scene? It always takes two to go. Not one. Takes two. It could have been the way you said it, the way you express yourself. Maybe somebody misunderstood you. Maybe it's this and that. But don't always take yourself to be the perfect one and everybody else the wrong person.
Kristen Babazi is a life coach, and this morning she's talking to us about embracing change. Most of us may be going through that phase, and this is some good stuff you should learn. Kristen, you talked about, you know, holding, you know, someone's hand, and some people say you need to communicate with supportive people who can help you deal with the stress and all the questions as far as change is concerned. How much does that help?
Brian, did you have, is your mom still there? Good. Do you know why you love your mom so much? Because she's not giving up on you. She's been there, even when you were the worst. There are scenarios, I'm sure, you look back and you're like, Bananga, I swear, being a mother is the toughest thing to do. But I am so sure you look back and appreciate your mom more because she never gave up on you. We are all human beings and we all make mistakes, and we are all going to make mistakes. But if you forgive me, let's say we are partners, me and you. You forgive me today, I've made a mistake. Tomorrow it's going to be your turn. You're going to need my forgiveness. Where you sow, you're always going to reap it. That's why you see at times, you know, today someone has done something and you're like, you know what, I can't forgive her, because you've been, even with parents, even if it's your child, that me, I have children, but I even know how to say sorry to my daughter. If I've made a mistake, I tell her, oh my goodness, sweetie, I am so sorry, I didn't mean to do that. Why? It has taught her how to say sorry back to me. Even how when she makes a mistake, it's easy for her to come to me and say, I'm sorry. What am I doing when I say I'm sorry? I'm sowing a seed. I'm teaching her that it's okay to say sorry. When you as a partner forgive your partner, because whether you want it or not, whichever person you're going to meet in life, there are other things that you're going to find, other challenges you're going to find. So if you don't have a forgiving heart, number one, I will look at you as a person who cannot forgive yourself in the first place. Number two, but I don't want you to ever think that you're going to find anybody that never need forgiveness. Look back at everyone you've lived with in life. How many times have you needed forgiveness?
Lots.
Lots of time. We all need to be forgiven at one point or the other. But we also need that grace from God. At times it's not the easy way out. It's not easy to just forgive someone like that. But me, I love going on my knees and praying. And when I look at how God has forgiven me over and over again, I also want to forgive and give a chance. That's why even with our help, other people, a mistake that one has made and thinking, why could she have made this mistake? Probably this and that, and give room for disappointment. That's why at times our children make mistakes. Words we are like, you're stupid, you never amount to anything, and you forget that the statements are building in these children's minds. And whatever we saw, even as I've come to realize this over time, that every day you're sowing a seed in your child. You spend time with your child, you're sowing a seed. You smile with your child, you're sowing. Why am I saying this, Brian? I love my mom so much, but when we were growing up, my mom is a soldier. She was too busy, and unfortunately, I personally, I don't even know who my dad is. But the thing is, I don't remember ever sitting down and having a conversation with my mom, or even laughing about something, you know, being a soldier, very tough and all that kind of thing. Now, guess what? She's old. She wants you to sit with her and talk to her and laugh with her, because probably she sees you other people, and she's like, how come you never talk to me? But then you ask yourself, what am I supposed to say?
Yes.
Because she never taught us how communication language with her. You never, you know, showed how special it was to sit down with your child and have a conversation, to go out and actually enjoy yourself with her. Now, when she wants to reap where she sowed, it's literally impossible. Yeah.
Christine, always a pleasure to have you here. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
To all of you, especially if you have a school, I think you do school tours.
Yes, I do school tours. I love talking to the young people. You believe today that many of us will agree that common sense is not common with our young people. They no longer use their brains, they use their emotions. So I try to pump some sense into their minds so that they can face while using their minds and not their emotions.
This morning, nicks that go, you know, with the attitude. Sometimes I'm like that, and people look at me and say, Brayo, how do you do that? I just, you know, there's nothing. If you choose to stay there, you're setting yourself up for a life of disappointment and stress. If change comes, find a way to cope and embrace it. And that's all we had for you in Everyday Life. Coming up is Sport with the two Brians. Stay with us.
You're listening at NTV with Simon Cass, Mabel Unji, and Brian Mulon.
Guess what show just won Best Entertainment Program?
Log in for the glitz and glamour of Kampala's most flamboyant people and events.
I'm here today for Coco Fingers video shoot.
Big up NTV, thanks for the support. Log in, do another runs the Kokakasa.
Your coffee and you're watching Login.
Don't touch that dial, you know what's saying. It's log in.
We could do this all night. We could do this all night.
Kampala has been voted in the past as one of the favorite cities for tourists, one of the most peaceful cities. That is something that is changing.
Kale Kaihura, the Inspector General of Police, and President Yoweri Museveni, their alliance, they can only crack down or stop individual strikes and individual demonstrations. But I don't think they can stop the growth of militancy.
No holds barred.
Besigye and Lukwago have particular grievances against the government, some legitimate, some misguided. What should the police do? Of course, the police has to intervene, A, to protect the power of President Yoweri Museveni and the NRM from disruption by Besigye and Lukwago, but B, also, never forget this, to protect those ordinary people whose property gets destroyed.
I want to ask that many think that they've actually been frustrated.
Opposition parties in Africa do not tend to be constructed around policy differences. FDC lacks a glue to hold its coalition of different power-hungry individuals together.
Incisive.
You see, the NRM is more divided internally than the FDC. The advantage with the NRM is it has political power.
Analytical.
I think that one of the best organized political parties in Uganda is the PPP, the People's Progressive Party with Ansari. This idea that everybody is peddling around the world that Africans are poor and they cannot contribute to their own political and social emancipation is crap. In fact, I think that the opposition parties in Uganda have to win an election in an unfair and unleveled ground.
News Night with Andrew Mwenda.
On the next episode, brought to you by
At Orange, we know you want to do more on the internet. That's why we bring you happy hour day and night.
That child you say you're carrying, is it Alcino's or Roberto's?
What? Benny ran away from the police?
Salary jobs didn't work and you decided to be a street vendor. Without a license, you know it's illegal.
I can't believe this. He's so selfish. What a bastard.
She's carrying his child.
You can download movies at the lowest prices and none of us from Orange. Dial *133# to buy a data bundle. Happy hour changes with Orange. Today changes with Orange.
25 on to 9 o'clock. Thank you so much for staying with us. Wherever you're watching us from, there's a taxi in Tinda that is showing morning at NTV now. Can you imagine that? Yeah, they're driving to work. Hope they leave you and take you far so that you complete the show.
You said it's in Tinda?
Yes. They're actually 2 taxis.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Fantastic stuff. So that's how it is. I told you, it is what it is, man.
Yeah.
NTV is NTV.
Abantu wekatwe bonna abatunda TV yao bateddeko morning at NTV Katwe Road. There's an old man who came in Kampala. When he reached there, he said, M7 has developed the country. People are watching free TVs. So
people are watching
free NTVs. In Gulu Uchumi supermarket, they are watching morning at TV. So thank you so much. We appreciate it. Of course, Ewan Ricardo Nsubuga and Babi, who just gave birth. I don't know if in their room there's the matches they show a lot. When she was about to pop out, we used to. Okay. Yeah, she just say watch it.
I'm loving this.
So the husband told me, all right, Cindy, greetings. Otherwise, so Ricardo and Babi, and of course, we'll be seeing Rohan Ozaradi.
Rohan. Unfortunately, it's not me who Zara, it's the woman.
Oh, you're Morning, man. Nice to see you, man.
Good to see you too, man.
What happened yesterday? Did you black out in Club C?
At the Club C cow. I didn't even step. And I had a fantastic way. I've never been about Ugandan sport. Saturday and Sunday were one of the best moments for me in Ugandan sport because of Lugogo Stadium. Basketball. I slept at 5 a.m. in the morning yesterday.
What was the magic behind our qualification? And you know, even for future tournaments, what lesson should we take from here?
I mean, of things that worked out for us. First of all, the stars remain the stars. It's the players that helped us. 2, the fans. We're not the best at supporting because most of the time we keep cheering when we're leading.
Yeah.
Once the teams we're playing against were, in the lead, the Ugandans went quiet until they brought in a couple of cheerleaders trying to rally the fans behind the team and stuff like that. But listen, I mean, these boys played unbelievable basketball. I couldn't have been more proud about the Ugandan basketballers than they did. But listen, this national team was handed to a team of certain individuals. And of course, give credit to the FUBA president. He is a president who would have said, you know what, guys, if you're going to help, you have to be part of FUBA for you to be helping. But he said, if you guys have the right cause, you've got the right resources, you can put this team into shape and do the things, it's all good. Take over the team, let's do this. And listen, these guys did a great job. And something I love about them, unlike in football where, and maybe some other sport, there are a couple of guys who are doing a great job investing their own money in this national team.
Yeah.
Because, and them actually taking the initiative to solicit for money from sponsors. And you never hear them at the forefront trying to be stars. The stars still remain. That man shooting the ball, Ivan Omanyika, Stephen Omon, Kasim Nagweri, Samuel Mukoza, guys who came from John Barugere, Josh Johnson, and Henry Malinga, Norman Bleak, Ben Komakech are still the stars. But listen, I thought the players they brought in from abroad changed a lot in this team. We would go to Zone 5 tournaments, we would take 12 players, but in actual sense, we'd have 6.
Wow.
We'll have 6. We had 12 players, and all the 12 contributed to the success that Uganda got for the boys. Everyone you get off the team, off the bench, sorry, would contribute. And what a game some of them had. For example, Samuel Mukoza is one of the best players in terms of, and look at that picture, that's the former president. He's cheering people on. How often you see that? You can see how passionate he is. That's what basketball means to him. I mean, it's just not being a president.
Yeah.
But
It's
how
a
much
fan.
is a fan, exactly, because
Yes.
he's played the game, he's coached it, now he's president. You can see how much it meant to him.
Yeah.
But I thought the foreign best players, because of the level of basketball they play, in terms of professionalism, basketball IQ, everything worked for us. I mean, Kasim Nagwero, what a game he had. I mean, he'll never lose the ball. Samuel Mukoza played great defense on Gassana Kenneth, one of Rwanda's best players. He only scored 8 points. This is a guy who probably his average must be about 18 points. Samuel kept him at 8 points. I mean,
And the
you can
former
go on and
president is,
absolutely. I mean, it was crazy. I mean, it was unbelievable. We've never been here before. First time Uganda is going to Afro basketball, and actually, there's a chance of also going for all Africa Games.
Yeah.
Because All Africa Games is a channel through which you can qualify for Olympics 2016. That may not be our target, but for us to even have a chance, Afro basket is our thing. But for us even to have a chance to go to Afro, I mean, it's just beyond our imaginations as a basketball fans. But I think the committee that was tasked to handle the national team, the players, the coaches, and the fans, everything just went right. But those foreign-based players, with all due respect to the local best players, added a lot to this team. Absolutely brilliant. But if you ask me what we learned from here, I hope some of the local best players looked at how these guys were playing and probably one or two things about it and said, okay guys, we have seen what these guys play. We cannot be like them, but we can pick one or two things. How do you run down the clock? For example, when you would have a 5-6 point lead, so many times in our local league, people want to rush and go and score.
Yeah.
What these guys will do, for example, when Kasim has the ball, John, maybe Josh, we have a 6 point lead, about 2 minutes to go, they are saying, you know what, let's run the clock. 24 seconds, let's ensure we run the seconds down.
Yes.
We keep our lead. You could turn over with a second to go, no problem, but at least you have 2. So for the other team to catch up is going to be harder.
It's more than just the basket.
Absolutely.
Which, like when I watch footage here, people are just
rushing.
Exactly. They never
Shot
get
selection
position.
poor.
Yes. Yeah.
When do you pass? When do you shoot? All those things. How do you play defense? For example, if you had seen how Samuel was marking Kenneth, he was not all over the guy. But once Kenneth has the ball, Samuel is in his face.
Yeah.
He's in his face. You can't allow him to shoot. You can't allow him to do all the first to do. I mean, but that's just about the thing. But I mean, I've got to keep our captain Stephen Omon. What a game he had in the final game against Rwanda. 25 points, absolutely out of this world. He's always been there, done that.
Now you see, our victory in basketball, our victory in netball, victory in the under 17, well, our loss in the under 17s, but in rugby, we have a fledgling but inadequately funded sports sector. When it comes to funding and management, we have a crisis. What should be of sport? You know, you guys are in the business. What advice do you give them? Because we seem to be now getting the hang of winning. You know,
exactly.
Uganda Cranes is on a roll.
And exactly. To the World Cup, under 19 one day Safaricom Sevens for girls and boys. First of all, I may not necessarily be a fan of wanting government to provide money. But the most important thing that this government will ever do for sport is put people in the positions to influence and do the right thing for sport. Once they do that, those people, I've given an example of basketball. This team was handed to a select committee of guys. They don't even want to be mentioned sometimes. But I mean, there's, I mean, we will know him around basketball as Haji, Grace Kwizera, Silva Rugamba. Albert Aheba was part of that. The football president is even one of the directors at Mandela group of companies who just takes a back seat in Hassan. This have done a great job. What they did, they've got connections, they've got contacts in a couple of companies like Linglong, and they went there, talked to guys and got money. Government, if they got the right person to be in charge of sport, if they got the right guys to run National Council of Sport, that's where everything from.
Everything.
If you put someone who understands what sport is, what sport can bring to this country, how much you can earn out of it, and is a National Council of Sport, they will run sport the right way. But look at the guys at NCS. They're actually creating and killing the games, killing sport in this country, more than helping it.
Right.
Jasper Ligaos, the General Secretary, they are the custodians of the law. They are the first to break them. Sports Minister Bakabulini, for me, is practically done nothing. He's not done anything for sport.